Wow. This is like unreal to me still because like we're actually doing this. And I'm still trying to figure out a way to tilt this because this is you're literally my first guest.
I'm playing with my hair, y'all. I'm so sorry.
You're my first guest ever.
Seriously?
Ever. So because the previous podcasts I've been recording have been super solo, and you know that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, this is like a new feeling. Like just doing like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Or what you're supposed to be called to do.
Correct.
And I'm having you here because I think in the last 3 years of our friendship, one of the best things and main things I've admired about you is how you know your calling and you refuse to be complacent. And obviously being complacent is not good for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not good for the community. But talk to me about, what drives you every day to say to yourself, hey, like, I know this isn't my calling, but I'm going to do something else and I'm going to align with whatever God has planned for me.
Man, first of all, thank you for having me on this show.
Of course.
Yes. I pray that the viewers are blessed by this because I'm going to share a little testimony and backstory to what you asked me because I'll be honest with you, quite frankly, I didn't always want to go after my calling because in order for me to go after what I know I was called to do, there was going to be a lot of breaking down who I was and a lot of sacrificing my old flesh. Basically saying I had to die to my old ways of dying your flesh, as Christian would say. But what kept me going was realizing that me not going on the path, I was very unhappy. I didn't have any peace. And when you don't have any peace, it doesn't roll. So long story short, testimony was for me is that I had a dream. It was vivid on what God wanted me to do. And we all have those God-given talents, but a lot of us don't walk into it. But I would say the reason why I kept going after my dream that God told me to do was because I saw the impact. I saw the fruits. I saw what it would do if I kept going. And what keeps me going is that my obedience is literally the cliche saying is tied to someone's deliverance. So if I don't obey what God tells me to do, I know someone else is going to suffer. It's not even about Tahana Pierre. It's not about me. And yeah, I get we got to pour into ourselves, but what does it mean if we can't be a light and be here for others? Yeah.
So
that was long-winded.
Listen, you got to talk to it. It's a lot of wisdom that's and passed on, and that's okay. So talk to us about the relationship you keep with God, right? Because a lot of my spiritual walk involves a lot of like doubt sometimes. Like even with this whole podcast, you've seen behind the scenes and everything, just trying to set this up. The setup took more than an hour. Even just trying to adjust this one mic, you're like, do I really want to do this anymore? So the fact that as someone who's been pushing not just your agenda, but God's agenda in your life, you say to yourself, all right, well, if this isn't working out, then it's got to be a sign. So how do you keep that strong faith to be able to just keep pushing forward?
I was literally infected with doubt. Meaning like my mind just would go to the negative side. Like I'll be so honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and say, stay positive, read your word, have praise and worship. The only reason why now I'm able to keep going and like even if circumstances arises is that because circumstances are happening and things are going around that I don't see, I remember that everything is spiritual. That I'm not fighting myself. I don't have self-doubt, even if I say I do. But I realize that I have an enemy. And we think about the verse, I believe it's in Ephesians 6 or 7, one of those chapters, it talks about you're not fighting against flesh and blood, but principalities and dark rulers of this world. So meaning it's like when you're in your calling, the only reason why I keep going, so I'm like, all right, I know there's an enemy and another spiritual force trying to attack my gifts, trying to attack what God calls me to do. And because I know that, I go on my knees or I remind myself, like, God, this is what you called me to do. So this is what you called me to do. I'm not going to give up, because I used to always start something and never finish, because I would always feel like, who am I? Who do I think I am to do this? I'm not good enough. And I would have people, strangers, tell me, oh my gosh, I could see you doing that. And I would tremble because I'm like, I know that was God. God told me to do that. But I don't do it because of what? Thoughts that come to my mind. And we have to really break those thoughts and like we have to make it captive and not let it get to us. So
that's real.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like sweating right now, y'all. Like, I'm hot. It could be the light.
It could be the heat too. We turned up to like 75 degrees up in here.
Y'all, I like my house hot. It's not been on 83.
Oh, we're not getting that high. I can't. No, that's good to hear. So that's where I was gonna go to my next question, talking about your time, right? Like, you know, one of the sayings I've always tried to keep to myself is you gotta bend all aspects of your health, and that's physical health, that's emotional health, that's spiritual health, that's psychological health, whatever the case may be. So you are a content creator.
Yeah.
You are working for one of the biggest tech firms in the country, in the world, and for you to go out there and say, you know what, like, maybe this 9-to-5 stuff is like something for now, because I know my calling is to create, right? How did you know that when you started was your time to execute? Walk me through that process.
I love that question, because a lot of people start something and they're like, I don't know if this is for me. But the moment, 2 reasons why I knew it was for me. One, I felt at peace. I enjoyed it. It felt natural to me. I felt like I didn't have to think about it. It just flowed. Whenever you're in alignment with what God tells you what to do, it flows. You do not have to force it. And 2, when people would text me, thank you, Tahana. That was inspiring. That encouraged me. I felt uplifted. And I remind myself, okay, it's cliche. You're not doing it for yourself. But the fact that I could plant a seed and it could transform someone's life, and what else could I ask for? You know what I mean? And that's how I knew. Those 2 reasons. Because I feel like if something has to be forced, like, don't get me wrong, you have to learn. You got to unlearn your bad habits to get better at your craft. You're going to have to take some time and research. I get that. But when you're finally doing it and it doesn't feel like work to you,
that's when you know, right?
Yeah.
Like what you're supposed to do.
And there will be work, but I'd rather that work than something else.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
What about just starting out in general? Because I feel like a lot of, general entrepreneurs and even content creators, they're always like, I want to do this, but I don't know the direction to start. Even like this podcast, like even when you started making out content on Instagram, you're like,
yeah,
I want to be in lifestyle, I want to be in beauty, I want to be in fashion. But now I'm like in all of that combined while incorporating the spiritual messages to that too. So how did you find, that connection with everything that you wanted to create?
I still don't know what I'm doing.
Really? Nah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm literally right now in this season, like, okay, I don't want to say I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to figure out how to merge everything together, because there's a side of me that still wants to hide and not share too much with the world, but show them like just like the surface. But I'm like, how can I really be vulnerable with the world and not share too much? Because at the end of the day, there's millions or thousands of people watching you. So you have to be careful and protect your spirit, protect your heart. And I don't know right now. I could tell you there's different strategies, there's different methods, the algorithm, how to be consistent. But like,
you're killing it either way.
Yeah,
I think the best thing about content creating is not, it's obviously it's about the content too, but I think when you were really active, and still are, when you were active, you were pushing out content like every week. Right? That consistency, I feel like, is what prevents a lot of us to just like not want to do it anymore, because there's so many editing that goes in the backhand. There's so many brainstorming before we even create, you got to move your tripod and cameras and all that in different angles. Like, You know what I mean? Like, I think starting out is one of the most, what's the word? Stressful part. So when you started out, were you always, or did you have any reservations about, if this is something that I want to do?
No, I did not have any reservations because when you know so strongly and deeply something is for you, it's like you're just gonna go all in.
Yeah.
Um, and you mentioned something about being consistent and getting all the angles. I was watching something and there's this girl, I think her name is Erin, I forgot her name, but she goes in depth about the 7 types of archetypes of content creators. And when you figure out what archetype you are, there's a speaker, there's a conversationalist, there's a lifestyle creator. I believe there's like a fashion. There's 2 other things. Find that 7 archetypes of a creator. Once you figure out what archetype you fall under, you're going to be able to make content easy. Because I hear people say, oh, content's too much. I just can't do it. I can never keep up with it. But in order for them to the reservation, like what I'm trying to say is you won't have reservation when it becomes like a little bit easier and you're not forcing it and there's less tension. So a conversationalist archetype, for example, would be you. You have guest speakers and you're talking and you're conversating. You're able to engage your audience with that. A lifestyle creator, they show people their life and show them like a vision of what other people might want, an aesthetic, a reality that some people can never reach. So it's like, oh yeah, and there's a motivational person who motivates people. There's so many different archetypes within that category. But once you figure out what falls for you, and the reason why I know what I fall under, there's just no reservation because I can go all in. I know what I'm good at. And I'm not all over the place.
Y'all listening? Y'all listening? That's a lot of wisdom being passed on tonight.
That's
a lot.
Yeah, come get your boy.
So what's the hardest thing for you now? Not just as a content creator, but let me redo that again. What is hard for you now as a content creator, as a daughter, as a professional? What is the one thing that is deterring you from achieving that end goal?
I love that question. It's a powerful question. Because at first I was like, oh, well, I'm not consistent enough. Maybe I just, But I think what that one thing was the doubt. And that's why I said I didn't have it figured out. I was like, who do I think I am doing this? Because let's be real. We all are consistent. You're either consistent in doing what you don't want to do, or you're going to be consistent in something else. So regardless, you're consistent, but you're just not consistent in the things that you desire to do. And there's a resistance that's pulling you. There's a force that is, a good friend of mine talks about being in a state of inertia, where you're starting something and then it's like you're not able to fully go through. It's like you got to get past that inertia and finally break through it. And I would say that one thing was my doubt. Who does Tahana think she is? Inspiring people, motivating, getting stronger day in the life. Who do you think you are?
Powerful. Oh my! I had to look at that camera. I was like, yo, y'all catching this, right? Like, this is free 99. Free 99.
Yeah, with this.
I'm learning too. And this is why like this whole conversation is happening, because I feel like there's always something to learn from your friends.
Yeah,
if it's a coworker, even if it's somebody you grew up with or somebody you just met a week ago, there's always something to be learned.
100%.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I know how vulnerable someone has to be to even get up in the morning and say, I'm going to create content.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
yes.
It's
setting up your camera.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you're sharing your life.
Privacy, like you like, come to my house. This is my crib. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And it's intimidating. It's intimidating because as a content creator, you're always thinking like, how can I break the market? There's so many content creators that are already doing this, and you're thinking to yourself like, what can I do different? Am I doing something different?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah. I feel you on that.
So talk to me about like how like was that still like a scary sight for you? The fact that, obviously when you started, social media was always at the peak. It still is.
Yeah, it's going to grow even more.
So how do you know that at that time and even now it's still your time to do it?
Because I didn't have peace. In the moment where I diverted from content creation, I knew that I had to stay in it, even if it got hard. So that's why I stayed in it, because I want to keep my peace. I want to keep my joy. And, going back to the word of God, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So if he can either steal your destiny or steal your dream, or he'll kill the idea and you think the idea is no longer there, but it's really there, or he'll destroy your mindset. He'll destroy the things. Like literally last night, y'all, my Sony fell on the ground out of nowhere. How? It was my tripod. I bumped it a little bit, and I thought it was screwed on perfectly, but it fell. So if he can't destroy things like on earth, like your material things, he'll try to destroy like that vision. And so I keep on going, because I know that if I don't stay in this area, if I go somewhere else, I would never feel fulfilled. And I know God's the only one that can fulfill me, but if I'm not walking what he calls me to do, then what's my real purpose on earth? So that's why.
That's real. And for even like the listeners and everyone watching the video, what is one thing you could offer as somebody who is currently stuck in, whether in a mindset or in a position where they feel like they can't do? What is it that they can do now?
And you say stuck in a mindset, like what mindset? Like,
so I'll give you an example. So let's say there's somebody who just graduated college and they also want to be a lifestyle creator like you, right?
Yeah.
The whole fashion thing, basically whatever you're doing, right? But they think, and they're always like you said earlier, they're always doubting, like, am I, like, how do I know I'm called to do this? Like, who the heck do I think I am to even be jumping into this space that's already been established? So what can you say to that, to those individuals who are like still, to push them forward?
I know, y'all, this is going to sound very cliche, but your DNA is not like the next person next to you, which is implying that you are different. And I would say for the person who is trying to do anything, it doesn't have to be just content creation. It can just be going to college or getting a degree or whatever they're trying to lose weight. Think about 5 years from now. And if you're not at that place, how would you feel? I think about like, I can't go backwards, but I can think about the future and I can think about now. If I don't get to that space, how am I going to feel? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be content? Of course, you should be content in wherever God calls you to be, but do you think you'll be full of everything? You like not, oh my gosh, Lord, give me the word. Give me the words, Holy Spirit. If you think in 5 years and you're still at the same place you are right now, will you be okay? And if your answer is no, then start making a shift. And how do you do that? Get a mentor. Reach out to someone in your space. Reevaluate everything, Juju. I had to reevaluate my friends. I had to read about my mindset, what I was consuming.
I remember.
Yes. Yes, he was a part of that journey of just purging everything. So that person out there, just try to figure out who's surrounding you. What are you consuming? Because it's not going to happen overnight. You build like that mindset. You built those habits for a while. So for you to like get that paradigm shift really quickly, it could happen, but it's going to take time to sustain that. Because even if your mindset does shift, you're going to have to keep it grounded so it doesn't fall back to your old ways. Because it's going to want to revert back. That's just us humans.
I love it. And, I can't stop thinking about the fact that I feel like you're also built for this. Like, you're built to share knowledge, So I'm glad that Tahana is literally my first guest, y'all, because there's a reason why she's here. There's a reason why she is still in the city, and that is to spread positivity and wisdom to the people listening, to the people watching. Because all we're going to do is we're just going to do, not wait. Just keep pushing forward. Any last words of advice you want to offer to everyone listening and watching?
Last word of advice. So if you are Christian, and if you're not, I would just say stay in your word. Even on my way here, I had lots of doubt. but I start remembering scriptures like I can do all things through Christ who strengthen you, and remembering like whatever you ask God in prayer, if you believe, you shall receive. Like stay in your word because you're literally fighting another enemy that you don't see. You've got to keep yourself grounded. Again, if it's not God's word, figure out something that's going to keep you positive. I mean, to me, it's God's words forever. But the reason why I say that is because if you think about the story of Job and all the trials he went through and how he still was steadfast, was faithful to God, I'm telling you, you're going to have friends that will betray you. I'm telling you, you're going to even betray yourself. You're going to fall. How do you get back up? It's God's word. I'm nothing without Christ. I'm so serious. Even the way I'm talking, articulating myself, it's not me. I literally cannot navigate this world without him. And so I'm telling you, like, last word is to stay like faithful, because it's not an easy world we live in, but with Christ we can navigate it easily in a way. So just stay grounded and read. Julius is a reader, y'all. It'll keep you grounded for sure. But that's all I have to say. Read your word, man.
Yeah, I love it. And last question to end this off. Who are you?
Who am I? What?
Who are you?
What? Julius, what do you mean, who am I?
Who are you? What is your name? Who are you?
Guys, this is why my mind be thinking, like, I'm thinking he wanted me to answer in some type of mythical way.
No, but actually, I want you to. Because, did you even peep? We didn't even get an introduction of who you are.
Yeah.
They just know if they caught it,
Yeah.
her name's Tahana. That's it.
Well,
who are you?
I am Tahana by the world. Birth legally, it's Tahano.
That's true.
Yeah, but I never really went by Tahano until like I got older because my parents don't call me that. Haitian American, last name Pierre. Hopefully a man will change that last name soon. If my husband's out there, come change it. But I'm literally a content creator, content strategist, living my life for Christ and navigating it, and someone who is heavy on just self-development and pouring back into myself so I can be able to pour into others. Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Tana.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much. Till next time, y'all. Deuces.
Later.